right off his chest.
There
They
you go.
they caused a distraction by setting fire to a number of things and then fled. And they followed the bear that they had freed. It ran over to this hole that's kind of concealed by debris, and it shapeshifted into a boy, like
Okay.
a teenager, like a 16-year-old. And he basically asked for the help of the people that were there, and they dove down this hole and had to pass through the cave that you see laid out before you. There are some areas of it that are not fully explored, but
I'm
this
not
area that we're
seeing
in
a
right now,
map. Should I be seeing a map?
So you zoomed out a ton?
It's just all black.
Did you zoom out all the way?
Okay, I see it now. Sorry. Okay, I'm with you now.
okay. So basically, the group progressed through here. They met up with this shapeshifting boy. They met up with his older brother, and since then you've discovered this small passageway through the pool of water.
Yeah.
And you are in what appears to be a room, somebody's camp, because there is a pre-existing campfire. There's a sleeping cot. There's a chest in the corner. And when Pedwin went around the corner, he came across a large stone door, very similar to one he encountered elsewhere in this little cave system that you've been in. And Flint, who's been here the whole time.
Hey guys.
Guys, I don't mean to alarm you, but there's a small man following us.
You mean a dwarf? Hello there.
So we'll take it from here. Just give me a second to bring up some resources. Well, in all honesty, I hadn't thought yet of a way to incorporate his character, and if we're gonna just jump into this, then I don't have a way off the top of my head, unless you guys are willing to backtrack in the dungeon a little bit.
Is this your bed, little man?
Little man, of course not. It's not my bed. I've been following you two this whole time.
I was actually just thinking that. All right,
Okay,
how about we go
never
from
mind.
there?
So this is my bed?
This will be your bed.
This bed looks a bit long for you.
And you will have just awoken to a number of intruders in your supposed safe haven. How does Flint react to this?
I jump out of bed and reach for my battle axe. Who are you two?
Please do.
You can cast sleep.
I back away as I prepare for whatever Pedwin's gonna do.
Well, he can choose how many people it affects, so. Have we done a long? Oh yeah, we did in the cistern. So Flint, as you look around, you see three people that have basically surrounded your bed, and one of them is a very very large, muscular man who's looks like he's just built. He's also a very very hairy guy, big thick beard, a lot of body hair as well. There is a creature that you are rather unfamiliar with. She's humanoid, but her skin is a dull ashen red. and her hair is the color of rust, but it's slightly, as it catches the light, it reflects just a little bit off of it. She has no pupils, no iris of any kind, but there is a kind of silver hue to her eyes, and she has rather prominent horns that curl like a ram off the side of her head and around her ear, and tuck very neatly underneath the earlobe. And she is regarding you with a look of surprise, and immediately, as you've just jumped up out of this cot that nobody knew you were there, and you see her close her eyes and shake her head, and immediately the visage of a normal human-looking woman with red hair is what you see in place of the image that you just had.
I don't know how to react to that. Do you all make a habit of surprising dwarves in their bed?
Did we surprise you, little
Well,
man?
you're in my fortress, surrounding me while I sleep. You have solitude. I'm a dwarf. This is underground. How do you think I got in here? I dug.
It would appear that you are in this dwarves' cave.
I think I like this cave.
Well,
I
you can
don't
go
wanna
find your
call
own
it-
cave.
I don't want to call it home.
You'll have to fight me for that.
Well, you're gonna have to get out of my bed first.
No.
Pedwin, are you having any particular reaction to this?
Light the bed on fire.
I ask what are you all doing here? How did you get here?
We came in through the water.
But why? Why are you here?
Because the pedal came here.
Huh? Something's on fire? Well, you three sound like my kind of people.
At that, the large, burly guy to your left, he chuckles a bit, and he says, "I don't know what you're doing here, but I've been trapped in this cave for over a week. How is it that you get supplies down here? I was nearly starving when they found me."
We dwarves have made a whole race out of surviving in places like this. I know how to survive and find what I need from the darkness of the cave.
You mean to tell me you don't work for the people in the crossroads?
Crossroads. I barely ever leave this cave. I hate everyone. At least on the surface. Was there anything
So
I
how
could
do we
help you
get-
three with?
Would you like to help us find a man with my battle axe?
Your battle axe? What is with you?
Well, I saw his battle axe, and I liked it, and now we're chasing him down.
Oh, it's not my battle axe. Okay, I thought since you already said he took my bed, I thought he was trying to take my battle axe.
While this exchange is going on, the boy that Pedwin Mo Ea followed down here, he speaks to his brother and he says, "I found a door. It's at the end of the cave. Can we go back to the forest?" And his brother turns around and takes a knee to speak to him and says, "Samir knows where we are. We have to find somewhere new now. What's your question? You did not.
You started screaming about something, so we came to help. I was afraid there was a pod person.
It's not really, that waterway is not really a one-way passage. You could take it back.
I do know someone who was further back of that passage, though.
What?
I do know someone who's been further back in that passage, though.
Yes, you do.
I don't feel like talking to him, though.
So the boy once again replies to his brother. But I want to go back home. And he can't follow us if we go deep enough in the forest. With that, Rowan stands up and he turns towards you. And he says, "The forest is not what it once was. It's becoming different. Something spreading out of the Lizardmen's territory. They haven't crossed those borders in over 10 years. And last time was, believe it or not, a trade mission. They were peaceful before all this. But they've been conducting raids now, and no one's entirely certain why."
And dwarves.
So you guys want to, you are going to take a rest from here?
Yeah, let's take a long rest.
Alrighty then. So everyone
Dwarf man
Starting
can
to
keep
feel
watch
the,
because we woke him up and he was already.
starting to feel the fatigue of the evening as it's about, it's getting on past 10 o'clock. If any of you could see the sun, you know that it would be sunken by now. Everyone sets up what little bedding that they can around what remains of the fire. The dwarf, who has yet to introduce himself, goes over and...
To be fair, no one's introduced themselves to me either.
That's a good point. He stokes
But I
the
walk
fire
over
and... Okay, go ahead.
So who the hell are you guys anyway?
The boy pipes up. "I'm Arun."
Hi, Arun. I'm Flint. What brings you and your friends down here? Or can you introduce me to your friends and explain to me a little bit about what's going on with you all?
The larger guy turns to his brother and says, "Yeah, kid, who'd you bring down here to rescue us?" And the boy, he points to the large barbarian on the opposite side of the fire from you, Flint. He stands almost double your height. Well, I would say maybe like 2/3 more. And the boy raises his hand and points to him and says, "This is Big Mo, right?"
I grunt.
The woman that you saw transform in front of you sits down at the fire and says, "I'm Aya."
Greetings, Aya.
And off in the corner, you notice a gnome who has chosen to avoid anyone in particular.
What's his problem?
I walk over to the gnome far away and pull him back by his collar. And I pull him towards the bigger fire. Set him down.
Okay.
Closer to the fire, because I dragged him closer to it.
Dragged him through the fire.
The large the biggest guy, no, it's actually second biggest guy, because I should say the tallest man, who wears nothing but furs with a large great axe strapped to his back, walks up and scoops up this gnome who's, maybe comes up to his like thigh in terms of overall height, even with arms outstretched, and plops him down right beside the fire. This is Pedwin. Well, Steve-O, you can say that.
This is Pedwin.
Your little friend or something?
Pedwin gives you a glance out from underneath his hood and says, "I'm rather dangerous. I wouldn't be taken lightly." You can see that he's just kind of toying with flames in both of his hands, just kind of making them wander around, pass between each one, almost like he's juggling.
I just nod and look to the others.
The large, burly guy to your left speaks up. "Arun and I have been talking. We would like to go back to our home. We used to work as part of the loggers and the woodsmen responsible for bringing in lumber from the forest. But I don't know if it's going to be safe. He and I can make our way around. We know those paths."
Then what's the problem?
Because the forest is changing. I don't know what's driving the lizard men to such aggression, or twisting some of the trees and the wildlife. Mists and fogs are starting to roll around.
It's the fog.
The teenage boy hears you say that and says, "What's the fog?"
I have to remember what the fog.
There's a note on it in the token screen.
Yeah. It turns men to zombies. The best
What's a
I
zombie?
understand it. They lose their... Zombie's the right word now. But,
Well, I don't know what's causing the woods to change like this, but I can bet you that all those fat cats behind their stone walls don't give a damn. They never do.
Never have, and that's what drove me down here.
Yeah, see? This guy knows what I'm talking about. And he punches Flint on the shoulder gently. Aya
Well,
speaks up. Actually, go ahead first.
I was just gonna say, well, I can try to help you all find your way through these caves without falling into too much trouble.
Aya speaks up from across the fire and says, "Thanks. I'm looking forward to being outdoors again. I'm here to find something."
Aren't we all? What is it specifically that you seek, though?
Before she answers that question, she turns to Big Mo. She says, "You met Boff, but he didn't hire you? Because I'm not going to have anyone taking any cuts of our operation." Oh, so you've seen that thing of his.
I like fish.
Well, then you and he are going to get along just fine. But he made an object, you see. Some kind of compass. It says that when you hold it, it takes you to the thing you want most. It seems that a man stole it from him. Same man these two were chasing. And she waves her hand to indicate Pedwin and Big Mo. Last I heard, he was headed up to Mason's Rest.
So are you all after the man or the object, or both?
I'm after his axe.
The island that you're on now? Sindarin. When the moment that you say that name, Urun and Rowan both turn to look at you. And they say, "What do you know about Sindarin?" You got a death wish? Rowan chuckles to himself. Look, a lot of people have gone around there since a disaster. Ain't nobody come back. Everybody knows about it. Sindarin exists. From the stories. From all the records in the temple. From the few people that have lived that long to be able to talk about what happened then. About how the island split. About the fall of the king. About all of it. You really don't know anything about this, huh? Aya leans in closer to the fire. You can see the effect of the dancing red and yellow and orange flames create a very strange interplay of light and shadow across her face. Again, knowing that what she does is create an illusion. The shadows that are cast from her features mingle with the illusion with this very strange effect. It's very surreal. And she says, "We don't know any of these stories. What is it? What is Sindarin?" The Rowan clears his throat again. Sindarin is what remains of the old kingdom. It used to be the court of the old king. Caristo was there. You needed something done, that's where you went. It was the largest and most advanced city on the island. It was from there that he and his court ruled, and all the circles and all the councils reported to them. It was at that time all the islands were one. I think it was called something different back then. It was a long time ago. Urun pipes up. It was almost 500 years ago now. No, more than that. And it was called Sudaria, brother. Rowan taps the side of his head, of course. That was before all the islands split. And everything that was built then started coming apart at the seams.
I'm gonna squint in their direction and ask, what? How old are you guys?
The two of them look at each other. And Urun says, well, I'm 16. And Rowan looks over at him and says, oh, I don't know, turned 24, 25 last winter.
Okay.
I'm sure. What they're telling you seem to be tales and legends that they've heard that have been passed down from the people that have lived on this island. They're not speaking from a first-hand account.
Hey, because it sure did sound like it.
They're not
Or
vampires.
pod people. Advanced, the original pod people.
Look, they're telling you guys stories, okay? I'm not trying to mislead you on this. They are telling you stories. Okay, I will from now on. I thought vampires don't cast shadows. You can totally see them casting shadows from the fire. Yeah, they don't have reflections, something like that.
And as this conversation continues on, you hear Big Mo start snoring loudly.
I'll
Urun,
pull out a pocket mirror and show it to each of them.
the two, they take it and look at it and start making funny faces with their reflections and then hand it back to you.
I breathe a sigh of relief and stick it back in my pocket.
The two of them then lay down next to each other and go to bed. Start snoring very loudly.
Now's your chance to put a stake through their heart, I guess.
Everyone goes to sleep. You guys take a long rest. All hit die and hit points are restored. All spell slots are restored. All usages of daily abilities are restored. You doing your portent? Alright, 4 and 18. Those are pretty good numbers.
How
Steve-O,
do
you
you
can
always
bring
get
yourself
both
back to
ends
full
of the
life.
spectrum? I am full life. Oh. Dating with my health.
It says here in the monster manual, they never cast shadows or reflections.
Vampires can't transform into bears.
So the next morning, everyone wakes up and they get a big stretch. And a little stretch. A series of little stretches. And as everyone gets up, Rowan turns to Flint and says, so, how do we get out of here?
That's a good question. It's been a while since I've left here. But we can figure it out. You might be onto something. Let's go check out that door.
Okay. Everyone heads over to the door.
What's right here?
That's
Not
just
a door.
no, it's just a regular rock wall. Nothing that appears to be unusual about it.
Looks.
That's not. Oh, okay. I guess I didn't. Is that better?
Yep.
Didn't know if I've missed any more. Okay. Blah. All right. So all of you around the corner, and what stands before you is a very large stone door, and it appears very familiar to Pedwin. And as you guys arrive at it, Flint turns to look at all of you, and then turns back and puts his hand on the door, and speaks his secret passcode to open the door, which is
Akned.
what?
I don't know. I don't know what dwarvish sounds like, so I just made something up.
All right. All right. As he says what was it again?
I just said Akned. I don't know.
Akned or Ahmed, like the name.
Ned. Just.
All
I
right.
don't know.
As he says Akned in
I wish
Ancient
Danny's sixth
Dwarvish
brain was here. He would have
that
said
none of you are familiar
titties.
with. The door rumbles and slides down, forming part of the floor that everyone then steps out of.
Yes.
As everyone exits the cave, you are led through a series of winding tunnels, given careful directions by Flint every so often as to how to avoid concealed pitfalls and dangers, and he leads you clearly and safely out. And as you round one of the final corners, you see
there it goes.
sunlight streaking in through a small entrance, a tiny cave built into a small fracture between two larger rock faces. From the outside, it's very well concealed, and it'd be difficult to know anything was there at all. And you will emerge back into the sunlight. As soon as you guys get out there, Urun and Rowan both take a deep breath in of the fresh air and exhale and sigh contentedly. And they turn to you and say, I thank you very much for helping me escape the confines of that cave. I thought, and then he turns to Rowan and rubs the top of his head briefly. Well, just thanks. And the two of them turn and head north towards the forest, making a careful effort to give a lot of room between them and vision from the crossroads.
Bye-bye.
Was there anything you want to
Cheers.
say to them before they go?
Don't die.
Neither should you. Rowan gives you a strange look and then turns back and continues walking. And the two of them disappear off to the north.
So perhaps we should go to the ceremony in the town?
Perhaps you should go to the one?
Wait, no, the ceremony's probably over.
Ah, yes, the festival. Yeah, that's probably over by now.
Maybe we should go talk to the one dude who had the thing stolen. Also, we can do that too. Okay.
So, what are you
Wait,
guys gonna do?
Should we go along the road this way?
That was the direction that it was indicated to you by the guard. Yes. Yep. Holg, Denny, and Kanye all took them when they left to go rendezvous with Boff in Mason's Rest.
Which way's Mason's Rest?
With that one, Aya pipes up. I think it's down this road, indicating the road to the northeast or northwest.
All right. Yep.
All right, so it's relatively early in the morning. The sun is not very high off of the horizon just yet. There's still a small hint of the kind of dew of morning, and a slight chill is in the air just because it hasn't had the chance to warm up too much yet. You hear the sounds of bird songs and the skittering of animals and other morning activities you would expect to see in this region of the wilderness. As you continue northward, you begin to see the extent of the forest. And you start to realize that it covers a good chunk of the mainland of this island that you're on now. You walk for a couple of hours. Actually, yeah. And you begin to notice the land sort of depresses a little bit off to your west. Or sorry, no, it's not a depression, sorry. The land rises in a very slow increase in elevation as it's coming up towards what looks to be a very slight gradient to a hill, but the size of the hill is pretty significant. And it actually comes off, it starts coming up to a peak that's significantly higher than the nearby road that you're on. And you can hear the sound of running water coming off the top of this hill. So a couple more hours of walking, and you begin to realize that the hill beside you is quite expansive. It goes on for quite a ways. It apparently has green bits in it now. And as you come around and you start staring at a gradual gradient downwards, the road seems to take you towards what initially appears to be one large structure, but as you get closer, you begin to see is in fact a very large wall built around a city. And as you continue to move forward, you've been walking for about 5 so hours now. The surrounding area outside this wall begins to come into view, and you see small clusters of homes and what amounts to a rudimentary farmland that seems to be divided off into grains and vegetables and livestock, and it seems to be a community that thrives around supplying the walled city that it's built up next to. Over on the western side of the city, you see tents set up and small wooden barricades and palisades, and there seem to be individuals moving around there that are armored and armed, and they're organizing themselves in some kind of like a battalion's encampment. You can't really tell how many soldiers it is off the top of your head, but it's not a huge force, but it has a notable presence on the eastern portion of the city.
We can't take them all on at once.
It would be too many for you guys to take on all at once.
Once we get really good rolls.
then you might not die. You gonna
Refrain
go with the
from
not die
lighting
plan?
things. Let's refrain from lighting things on fire for the moment.
So as the group continues down the slight decline now, heading towards this walled city, as you get closer and closer, you begin to realize that this wall is some pretty serious stuff. It extends up easily 50 meters off of the ground. It seems to be made of very thick pieces of stone, but the stonework itself, again, there is no mortar that joins the stones together. They are just layered and stacked in a way that they are very, very tightly fit. And the sheer size of these things indicates that they would be very, very difficult to move, even with the force of a siege engine behind it. So like a catapult could hit this thing, or a battering ram could hit it, and it really wouldn't do that much damage. It's very, very dense stuff. And it seems to create a very imposing object to stand before, just this large, dark stone wall. And your party then heads towards one of the openings that a stream of peasantry, horses, carts laden with goods, individuals from the surrounding towns that are taking their goods into the city, theoretically to be sold, and even just small families, clusters of children. The city itself seems to only have a few access points spread out through this wall, so a lot of the traffic tends to naturally funnel towards these few openings in the wall itself. Yeah, that's not a bad example. What's this from?
Titans come from the forest and kick down the wall. Actually, no, it's a big titan that appears that kicks. I can't remember.
Okay, so your group has arrived at the wall. What are you going to do?
Try to get into the city.
There is no moat. There is a large stone archway with a portcullis and gates behind it, and it just seems to be a fairly typical gate to a castle town. Wide open. There are several guards standing on both the inside and outside of the wall that appear to be keeping an eye on things, but don't seem to be particularly they're not hassling anyone or questioning or stopping people. They're just observing as everybody goes by.
Let's walk in.
Pedman walks up, strutting his stuff, and strolls right through the gate, eyeing down one of the guards as he walks by. The guard, hearing this, the second guard, whose glance you catch, says, "I'm not telling you to do anything," and then turns around and talks and goes back to talking to his friend.
I'll go in like a regular person.
I'll follow behind.
Flying boar is good enough for me.
Let's leave. Hey, I got my eye on you.
Okay. Well, let's resize everybody a little bit.
Ooh, is this hand drawn?
No, this is from a dungeon generator.
Better leave.
So as the four of
Hey,
you walk in
Got
past the
my eye
gate,
on you.
what
Water
opens up before you is a very significant departure from what you've been exposed to before. In place of the rural farming community of Verdale, which was all kind of built in and around the natural developments in the landscape, and the rather underdeveloped infrastructure of the crossroads, which is just a slew of hastily constructed buildings and a small rudimentary logging camp, huge array of tents, and that one ship that was up on stilts and seemed to be turned into a kind of combination of a bar and a bit of a, almost like a theater just for putting on productions, burlesque shows, that kind of thing. And it's pretty much just, it's like entertainment for the masses. At least that's how they plug it. So you walk into Mason's Rest, and what is around you is, in fact, a sprawling city with buildings made from... There's a variety of different kinds of stonework, there's wooden structures, but they're far more normal as far as the kind of things you've been exposed to before. It strikes you as much more city-like, and frankly, it's one of the first things that seems familiar to Pedwin and seemingly to Aya as well, because she seems to be a little bit more relaxed and at ease, and you hear her sigh contentedly as you all walk into the city. You did not. The last that you heard from Aya was just that they were headed towards Mason's Rest.
Who was it that contacted them again?
Boff contacted Aya seemingly through the means of a spell, because she just received a message from him.
Well, we know it's an earpiece, right?
No, this wasn't through the earpiece. That seems to have a limit on its range. This was a message delivered straight to her via a spell.
So if it was Boff, most likely they'll be near the water, right? Guys?
Aya nods her head and says, "That's pretty good deduction. Let's head to the water then." And she starts heading north. Actually, I'm just going to reveal the whole city. There's no point in. Okay, there. Where's Bedouin? You've run around the city, huh? Okay, so as the group of you begin to make your way through the city, you can't help but notice the abundance of people filling the streets and going about their daily business, and it's the first kind of metropolis style that any of you have been in. And Flint, being self-reportedly a hermit, not terribly used to this kind of environment. How is Flint taking this?
I remember, we need a new plague. There's too many people.
The only person that seems to have overheard your joke is Aya, and she gets a bit of a chuckle at it. Aya's looking around, and she says, well, I think Boff wouldn't leave that ship of his alone, so I think he's definitely near the water. Also, he wouldn't want to hide himself too well. Holg is good for a lot of things, but I wouldn't call him the sharpest tool in the shed. Aya raises an eyebrow and looks at you. Maybe we should just ask somebody where the water's edge is. Pedwin walks over to a guard and helpfully and asks where it is. And he is pointed in the direction of the northern coast. Oh, that's right. You have a map that's showing all of this. Of course. So, yeah, you don't need Nogard helping you. You are a strong, independent gnome.
Who evidently knows that Hogue has a sharp tool.
Yes, I am. You see this right here? That's Holg right there. All right. Sorry, that's Holg's tool. My bad. So as you're walking around this city, you do notice that the area that you're in now seems to be made of a lot of wooden structures. They seem to be fairly identical, fairly generic, and you get the sense that these were built kind of in a hurry for the purpose of just housing lots and lots of people as quickly as possible. And what's more is there's all sorts of stands and goods being sold and marketed around there. You can hear individuals calling out, selling fruits and vegetables. There are bakers that are trying to get their bread sold before it turns hard and stale. And just any kind of merchant that you can imagine seems to have a place here set up, and they're all their voices intermingling into this loud, just kind of white noise that seems to suffuse this area of the city. All right, but you guys are going north. So as you reach the northern coast, what you notice is that the landscape itself doesn't... The city is not built to accommodate the coastline here. From what you can tell, the city just seems to rather abruptly stop. And it seems even as if there's been damage to portions of the city and regions of it right at the edge of where it meets the water. The stonework there is more rough. You can see work of recent and not recent repairs. It seems less as if the city was made to accommodate this shoreline, and more that the shoreline itself is almost imposed on this area. You can see what remains of some structures that have collapsed and a new one built up in their place, some of the rubble and the debris being carted away by individuals with wheelbarrows and shovels. And as you look around, you do see some of the docks that meet at this area. They're very flimsy and rickety and not all that well put together as they descend down towards the water's edge. Down near the water are a slew of small fishing boats and one larger ship that seems to function more as a trade or a cargo vessel. But there is no sign of Boff at this region of the coastline.
Start walking along the coastline.
Okay. So you guys are walking along the coastline. Sorry, I just need to set something up here. So I'm just trying to find a couple of charts here, or like there's some things I want to make reference to. That is a very high resolution shot.
How'd that picture end up in my bookmarks?
So what's going on?
Sorry, I'm just trying to find the portion of the Dungeon Master's Guide that I need to take a look at.
You're cool. I just walked away, and when I came back, everyone was silent, so I was confused.